Welcome to the Betting Above the Rim podcast. Today's date is May 28th, episode 56 of this podcast. Today we get into three topics. Number one, we'll look back on the Eastern Conference Finals. As the Celtics swept the Pacers, we'll take a look at one of my concerns with Boston and kind of set you up for the Pacers in the long run. Next, we go to the West Side. With JJ Reddick being a strong candidate to be the Lakers' next head coach, I will talk about whether JJ is a good fit for the job. And lastly, we go to the WNBA. We'll focus on Caitlin Clark and the Rookie of the Year odds, but also I'll try and tell you how I would be betting Caitlin Clark as she goes through her rookie campaign. Let's get started with the Eastern Conference Finals, which ended on Monday night with a 105-102 win by the Boston Celtics. The Celtics did not cover the spread as obviously Jaylen Brown, who was named MVP of the Eastern Conference Finals, 29 points, really played fantastic ball in the second half. Jason Tatum, 26, 13, and 8, really did a great job of sharing the ball. Drew Holiday, which we can really talk about at any point, probably next podcast about his impact on the Celtics team, especially defensively, had a really good game with 17 and 9. Flip side, Andrew Nembhard really came into his own the last couple of games without Tyrese Halliburton, 24, 10 and 6. Siakam, 19 and 10. And TJ McConnell, what can we say enough about TJ with 15 points, 5 rebounds, and 4 assists. So let's first start with Boston. Folks, I don't know how I can say this any other way. I know they're the best team in the league all year. I know they've been a favorite to win the NBA championship. But I have legitimate concerns with this Boston team. Folks, they have not been challenged. And if you really think about what is happening with Boston, to me, I think they're wildly inconsistent at times in their effort and focus. We saw that in game number 2 against Miami. We saw that in game number 2 versus Cleveland. We saw that in their first half effort in game number 3. My point being is, I don't think they're playing as well as they're capable of. And although they're the favorites, that doesn't mean that I can't be concerned with how they're playing. Jason Tatum can give you a stinker every once in a while. Al Horford sometimes can't knock down his three-point shots. Jaylen Brown, although he played great, sometimes you force him left, he doesn't finish well. Kristaps Porzingis, we'll see when he comes back for the NBA Finals, right? But here's my point. At this point, we expect Dallas to be the opponent, and by the time this podcast is released Wednesday morning, it may well be Dallas if they were to get the sweep tonight. You mean to tell me a team that, according to ESPN, 3 of the games, Indiana had an over 90% win percentage in the fourth quarter. You mean to tell me 8-point game, 4 minutes left, with Luka and Kyrie, they're blowing an 8-point lead? You're telling me if Minnesota does this miraculous comeback and they, which I think I'm crazy I'm even mentioning this, but let's say they come back and they win 4 straight games. You mean to tell me that Minnesota up by 10 points, they're going to blow that lead? Boston isn't playing well. They haven't been challenged. They played Miami without Jimmy Butler. They played, obviously Cleveland, no Jared Allen the entire series. No Donovan Mitchell the last 2 games. No Karis LeVert the last game. And Tyrese Halliburton got hurt in a 4-point game in game 2. They haven't been challenged. And sometimes that's not good. And then they're going to have a long layoff because remember, folks, the finals don't start until next Thursday night. Doesn't matter what happens with Dallas, Minnesota. They don't start until next Thursday night. So there's concerns here with Boston, and I don't think they're that slam dunk champion. I actually do think, I always said it before, I thought Denver, Minnesota winner was going to win the finals. I am now looking at the fact that the way that Boston's now playing well, and the defense that Dallas plays, and they got 2 killers, and Luka and Kyrie, I think the Mavericks can win the NBA championship over the Boston Celtics. Now let's go to Indiana here, because let's be honest, folks. This team is young. If you look at Tyrese Halliburton, who missed the last, like I said, 2.5 games to injury. Pascal Siakam, got to resign him. Miles Turner, oh, thank God the Phoenix Suns matched that offer sheet for DeAndre Ayton. Andrew Nembhard came into his own this year. TJ McConnell, can't say enough about him. Wish he's on the Knicks. Obi Toppin got so much better as a shooter. Aaron Naismith turning into one of the better defenders in the league. Ben Shepherd as a marksman. Isaiah Jackson giving them minutes off the bench. Folks, I'm going to say this right now. They lost this series 4-0 because of Rick Carlisle, Jim Boylan, and Lloyd Pierce. We know who Rick Carlisle is, but he's got 2 experienced coaches, head coaches on his bench. Why do I say this? They lost this series 4-0 because of them? Very simply put, game number 1, advance the ball into the front court. Very simple. Advance the ball to the front court. 2, you mess up that one? How about the fact that when Jalen Brown gets the ball in the corner, karate chop him, send him to the line. Folks, you don't understand how hard it is to down by 3, make 1, miss, put back, put it in. We practice this all the time. It still doesn't mean it's very easy to do. Game number 3. Bring the ball off the floor. Get a stop. Down 1. Andrew Nembhard, who played great, has the ball in his hands. And you don't call a timeout. You let him go. With the best defender in the league, Drew Holiday guarding him. Very simple. Drew let him to get to his right, got in front of him, took the left hand, poked the ball out, game over, lose game 3. Up 8, 4th quarter. Midway through the 4th. Game 4. Folks, at the very least, we should be heading to Boston tomorrow for game number 5 of the series 2-2. Or we could be heading to Boston, Pacers up 3-1. I know people are going to say, the Celtics going to have Porzingis. The Celtics going to have Porzingis. I got you. I agree. Yeah, they don't. But they still have Jason Tatum, still have Jaylen Brown, they still have Drew Holiday. They got more than enough to win. They can still have Derek White, and they can hit you in so many different ways. So for Indiana, what do they need, folks? They need these young kids to get better. They need Nembhard to continue to ascend. They need Halliburton to value the defense more. They need Pascal Siakam to do what it is. There obviously is Tyrese Halliburton. I need him to be better defensively, folks. They got to find a way to bring back Pascal Siakam. Remember, folks, he's a free agent. Nembhard needs to take the next step. Miles Turner. Can I get the Miles Turner in the first half of game 3? When you're posted up and you're aggressive and you're looking to dominate, rather than being the Miles Turner that sits out the 3-point line and doesn't rebound. Got to bring back TJ McConnell. Got to continue to develop Obi Toppin, Aaron Naismith, Ben Shepherd. They are better. I still think they need some bench depth. Okay? Probably to 2-3. Maybe a backup big. Someone, a bruiser big, like an Andre Drummond type that can get rebounds, collect up space, take up minutes. But Indiana's coming, folks. But I'm going to say this. When all of them are healthy, better than Boston? No. As constructed, no. Are they better than the Knicks? Currently constructed. All healthy? No. The Knicks bring everybody back. Are they better than Philadelphia? Healthy, constructed. They're going to get someone better than Tobias Harris? No. Are they better than Milwaukee? No. But what they do have is they may have the most upside because they have the youngest core. And Rick Carlisle, if he gets them into this playoff series again in a big spot, he's got to do a better job coaching his team down the stretch to get him to the finish line. Let's move on to the Lakers with the rumors that JJ Reddick is possibly going to be the next coach for the Los Angeles Lakers. And people are going to sit there and say, why JJ Reddick? His relationship with LeBron, I get it. Folks, JJ Reddick has interviewed with other places. JJ Reddick is very, 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 very highly regarded by the players in his league. Now, he may trash the older players, say they play against electricians and plumbers back in the day, but he's got the respect of the players. That is so important. I also found that JJ Reddick, out of all the analysts, I find him to be insightful. I find him to be thoughtful. I find him to be honest. And I think he's got an aura and a way that can carry himself. Like Steve Kerr. Remember, folks, Steve Kerr had a really good playing career, broadcaster, and then went into coaching. And I don't think people understand when you're people think that broadcasters, or even me as an analyst, like, we watch games from a different lens. I don't watch basketball as a fan. I watch basketball as a coach, as an analyst, right? I look at things, I give you my predictions based on what I think as a coach. When JJ Reddick is doing games, he's watching film. He's putting his coaching hat on, just like Steve Kerr did. Just like Pat Riley did. Now, if he could duplicate that success of a Pat Riley, of a Steve Kerr, it's a home run for the Lakers. But I am okay with JJ getting the job because I think LeBron's a strong enough personality that the players will fall in line. I think you'll have the respect of the locker room and the respect of the players in the NBA because they like JJ. And I think he's going to do a good job. Now, JJ's going to have to surround himself with a really good staff, experienced assistant coaches that have been around the block that can help him with that learning curve. Maybe have some ex-head coaches on his staff. But I've come around to JJ Reddick coaching the Lakers. And I think he's going to do a damn good job if he gets the opportunity. And I'm so damn sick of the same guys getting job after job after job after job. Give some of these other guys a chance. So I'm happy that Charles Lee finally got his shot in in Charlotte, after being with Milwaukee and getting passed over. Right? I want JJ to get a chance. I want Johnny Bryant from the Knicks to get a chance. I want Sam Cassell to get a chance. I don't need to see the Steve Cliffords and the Mike Budenholzers and all these guys that are on their third, fourth, fifth team. Get some of these young guys a chance. Be surprised at what they can do. And I think JJ is going to do a hell of a job if he gets the opportunity. Let's end today's podcast with talking about the W and the great Caitlin Clark. Folks, please do yourself a favor. Unless you want to just make 11 cents on the dollar, do not take Caitlin Clark to win the Rookie of the Year of the WNBA. She's minus 900. Very simply put, the only way Caitlin doesn't win it is she gets hurt. So why put your money there? Caitlin Clark, that isn't shooting the ball great. 15.4 points per game, 5.4 rebounds, 6.3 assists, 37% from the floor, 32% from three, 89% from the line. She is doing what she can. And if you got to think about it, folks, if you go through her schedule, okay? And by the way, the Fever play the most games in the WNBA because, simply put, this team is the government mule of the WNBA. They're trying to get ratings. Connecticut, New York, Connecticut, Seattle, Sparks, Vegas on a back-to-back. Simply put, they have thrown this kid to the wolves. To the wolves. Folks, do you know that Caitlin Clark only has 2 games this year that she shot over 45% from the floor? The last 2 games, she's combined to shoot 6 of 22. She basically played, ready, from opening night, game, off, game, off, game, off, game, off, game, game. And went to the West Coast. So Caitlin is struggling to score the ball. But boy, her usage rate is there. So when you look at Caitlin Clark, folks, I'm going to say it very simply put. Play the assists. Play the assists. Look for Caitlin Clark to get you 7+ assists a night. If you look at her number, which tonight, when obviously this is going to, by the time this is aired, she would have played the game tonight versus Sparks. Her assist prop at 6.5. Right? She's gone over 3 straight games. 4 of the last 5. 4 of the first 7, missed 1 by the hook. Playing against the best defensive teams in the league. The Vegas Aces, 7 assists. She has an 8-assist game and a 6-assist game versus the Liberty. So when you start looking at Caitlin Clark's schedule, simply put, after the game tonight, Tuesday night, versus Seattle, she should hit it. Chicago gets up and down, should hit it. New York, worried about that, that's a back-to-back. The next 3 games, or actually I say next 2 after we release this podcast, Thursday, Saturday, play Caitlin Clark's assist prop over as long as it is at 6.5. She's going to get the usage rate and the ball will be in her hands. What it comes down to is, can Kelsey Mitchell be the Kelsey Mitchell that we've seen over the course of her career? A Kelsey Mitchell that has scored, 16.3 points per game in her career and has averaged 17.5 points per game or more every season since 2020. Can Aaliyah Boston be the number 1 pick that they thought they were getting? She's only at 10.1 points a game. Can Nalisha Smith, who is getting you 10.1 points per game this year, someone that's an effective scorer, got 15.5 last year. So the score is going to come down, but it's a matter of can they make enough shots for Caitlin? Because the ball is going to be in her hands. And if you're a WNBA team, you're going to take away her speed to the 3-point line, make her pose to the deck, and funnel her to the basket. That's where other people should get going. I am really proud of what I've seen out of Caitlin Clark. She's a number 1 player in every scouting report. She has not shot the ball great. But go look at, if you look at her stats here again, with 15.4 points per game. Go look at what some of these rookies are doing. And they're scoring. You want to talk real quick points per game? Angel Reese. 7.8 assists per game, 1.5 assists, 12.3 points. Shooting 36% from the floor. Folks, she plays inside. Cameron Brink can't stay out of foul trouble. Rakea Jackson comes off the bench. JC Shelton not getting big minutes. You look at Aaliyah Edwards, right? What has she really done with the Mystics? Simply put, folks, Caitlin Clark is playing really well. She's just not making shots. So if you want to play Caitlin Clark, play her assist prop. This has been episode 56 of the Betting Above the Rim podcast. For all things sports gambling, please go download that Sports Grid app. Pre-game, in-game, post-game, props, predictions, and more from the very best in the sports gambling industry. Next podcast will be taped on Thursday, released on Friday. Who knows? We may have an NBA Finals set up. See if Minnesota shows up. We'll talk a little bit more W. And I promise you I'll get to my top 5 college basketball after the transfer portal. For my producer, Matty George. For Vinny, who always crushes it with the graphics. This has been Coach Young. Thanks for listening. Remember, it's smarter to be on Sports Grid. Good night.